we showed up, now we showing up. Oh, you and me, we're gonna be legendary. Legendary. We're gonna be legendary. Never gonna raise up a white flag. Didn't come this far just to turn back. The curtains fall for the last act. Breaking that levee, breaking that levee. We don't back down, this is what we're made of. Standing our ground, here it goes down. Oh, you and me, we're gonna be legendary. Oh, wait and see, we're gonna be legendary. Ain't no time like the here and now. Yeah, we showed up, now we showing up. Oh, you and me, we're gonna be legendary. Legendary. We're gonna be legendary. We don't back down, this is what we're made of. Standing our ground, here it goes down. Oh, you and me, we're gonna be legendary. Oh, wait and see, we're gonna be legendary. Ain't no time like the here and now. Yeah, we showed up, now we showing up. Oh, you and me, we're gonna be legendary. Legendary. We're gonna be legendary. Legendary. We're gonna be legendary.
I got metal running through my bones, a resurrection like a ghost. Hurricane, go ahead and blow. Where you could keep your white flag, I'll never fold. A shadow on a battlefield, a survivor never yield. A thunder, go ahead and shake. Don't run from the storm when I feel the rain. There's no rest for the wicked, no victory for the weak. And when the weeds getting thicker, you'll never see me on my knees. You can't control this, it's explosive. You can't control this, it's explosive. You can't control this, it's explosive. I got a fever in my blood, a falling embers from above. I feel the heat when the pressure blows, a wildfire that you can't control. There's no rest for the wicked, no victory for the weak. And when the weeds getting thicker, you'll never see me on my knees. You can't control this, it's explosive. You can't control this, it's explosive. You can't control this, it's explosive. With every beat of my heart, I'll be the light in the dark. You can't control this, I'm explosive.
We're a racing family that you can trust on and off the track. So if you're looking for foundation repair, go online or give us a call to schedule your free inspection. If we fix your foundation and you mention Race On Texas, you will get a 1-year free subscription to the All Access Pass.
Our family started RVing a few years ago, and when I think about all those campfires and fishing trips and sporting events, these are memories that are going to last a lifetime. I want to help others do the same thing. Hi, I'm Kevin Smith, General Manager at the all-new Click It RV in Milton Freewater. People in this community are very familiar with this location and the great service they've always received. So the biggest question we get is, where is Keith? The great news is, Keith is still here.
I've seen a lot of changes. I've seen a lot of things come and go. Through all the changes that we have seen, one thing that has not changed for us is the quality of our service.
Buying an RV is a big purchase, but it should be a fun and happy experience. So whether it be in sales or service or parts, our mission is simple: be the best. From our team here at Click It RV in Milton Freewater, we invite you to come down and experience the difference.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series in officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome to round number 3 of the Stars and Stripes Racing League. Tonight, the Motor City 220, presented by Verizon. Their drivers, 2 of them, right now tied for the championship. That's Smith and Rick Riker. And everyone else right there in the cat's whisker as we get ready to battle it out here tonight in the Irish Hills of Michigan. Good evening. I'm Wesley Outland. Jason Rockefeller feeling better. He's right there alongside Charles Wooten in the broadcast production booth in Texas. And we're ready to go here tonight at Michigan. So Jason, obviously, great race Daytona. We called that. Atlanta was very entertaining. As I aforementioned, Smith and Rickard tied for the points championship coming in. Everyone else is less than, if you're counting the top 10, 25 points out. Anybody still has a shot here to climb the ladder, and obviously we really think Michigan's going to be a good race tonight.
Oh yeah, man, no doubt about it. This has always been a really difficult track for these cars. Was talking to some of the drivers earlier on, right before pre-roll, and they said that, man, it is hot, it is slick, it's going to be really loose coming off turns 2 and off turn number 4 especially. But turn number 2 is a place where you're really going to have to keep your eyes open, and you're definitely going to have to get on the binders if need be, getting loose off that corner. This track is known for the high horsepower, low downforce that these Xfinity Series cars bring with their aero package here to this track tonight. So it's definitely going to be a fun one for sure. Kind of similar, Wesley, if you want to think about it, almost like Auto Club Speedway without the tire wear. Really wide, sweeping corners, high speeds. It's going to be a fun one here tonight for sure.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. Let's take a look at the race information presented by HuntTheFront.tv for tonight. There you see it. No fast repair, 100% fuel capacity, 4 sets of tires plus the original 4 on the car at the drop of the green. 1 attempt only at overtime, if need be. 1 green, white checker. And this, by the way, is 110 laps here tonight. 110 laps. Kaufman Creative Weather Conditions. Check it out. Sim time, air temp, 78 degrees. Of course, a wind speed at 2 miles an hour. That's nice and comfortable. Track temp, though, in the triple digits at 106. What's that going to be like for handling as well as tires here tonight in Michigan, Jason?
Yeah, with obviously the ambient air temperature being only 78 degrees, but with just little to no clouds up in the sky here this evening, Wesley, it's going to make this track really, really hot, like you've already seen. Earlier in practice, it was about 113 to 112 degrees. It's cooled down a little bit, but just because it's cooled down a little bit doesn't mean it's not going to be slick at all. By no means necessary. It's going to be very, very difficult here tonight for these drivers, no doubt about it. Again, you want to watch getting off these corners, especially in qualifying. One thing I have always had a difficult time with when it comes to qualifying here is getting into turn one, throwing the car all the way down to the bottom of the racetrack. You're going to see Scott Rickard right here try to do the same. Throw it all the way down to the bottom, lay off the throttle just a little bit, try to get back to the gas as quickly as possible, let the thing kind of slide out just a tiny bit, hope you don't hit that outside wall, and of course you want to make sure you don't let the car get out from underneath you and spin yourself out coming off turn two, because trust me, we have seen a lot of accidents both in the real world and the virtual world here on iRacing coming off turn two, and when they happen here at Michigan with these Xfinity cars, they are big.
It's like that wall pops right out at you, and if you're not careful, you can definitely hit the safer barrier. First couple of races of the season, Tire Pros on the sponsor for the Rickard car. Now he has High Rock Vodka. That's the driver out of New York. That's actually a throwback color, honestly, Jason, of the Hickory late model stock champion Landon Huffman, who had High Rock Vodka on his car at Hickory.
Yeah, absolutely love High Rock Vodka, too. It's a shame I can't get it up here, but on my Florida trip, had to get me a bottle. You know, always good to mix that with some Sundrop, another thing we don't have up here in Jersey. So every year I go to Florida, I got to get me a bottle of High Rock. I got to get me a 12-pack of Sundrop so I can bring it back home and enjoy that nice Dale Jr.-esque cocktail, if you want to say that he loves mixing High Rock Vodka with Sundrop.
Oh, yes. Sundrop is awesome, and so is High Rock Vodka. And here comes Rickard finishing up with his lap. Let's see what James Waldo's going to do. Toyota number 89. Driver, of course, out of Arkansas for 7 ages. Down the back straightaway. Again, as we mentioned, Rickard and Smith, Christopher Smith, are tied for the championship. 9 points back is James Howard. Winner last week, of course, at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, Diego Valle. Diego Valle is, of course, only 10 back, as well as Dylan Hoffman, top 5. Daytona winner Will Buzzler is in 6th, only 13 points back. And then it's Kyle McCoy, Ellis Thomas, Joshua Altus, and Mark Schrader, top 10. They're tied, actually. 24 points, a 3-way tie from 8th to 10th. It's Thomas Ogle now. White Claw, number 11. Ogle's Auto Sales entry for the Buckeye State of Ohio now on the track to qualify. And Jason, we're just under a minute to go. If they're going to make a lap, they got to get on track, and they got to do it now.
Yeah, you have to do it now, because by the time you get off pit road, it's going to take you about 30 seconds to get around this track, to get up to speed, back to the start-finish line. Thomas Ogle's going to complete his lap. We'll have to see if anybody else does. Seeing up on the board, drivers like Josh Robinson, Trey Jackson, Andrew Hess, Chris Smith as well goes up to 3rd up on the board. Other drivers, Brian Lynch, Rob Sherwood, Ryan Lynch as well, just to name a few other drivers trying to get in their cars dialed in for tonight's race to hopefully get a good starting spot. And Wesley, that's definitely going to be something to talk about with how wide this track is. Really, the only times that are going to be passing opportunities are going to be on these restarts and when the tires kind of seemingly wear out. So you really have to take care of your tires here tonight, just like most tracks, obviously. This track with the heat, the conditions that we're facing here today, it's going to be really tough to pass. So qualifying up front is definitely going to be key here as qualifying is getting ready to wind down here.
The USA cookout machine from Ryan Lynch had cookout on his car last week. And now let's see what the 30 machine, can he make a lap? That's Josh Robinson. I don't think he will in the Chipotle Micro Center Ford. And qualifying is done. Looks like Will Buzzler, Daytona winner, setting fast time as the field gets gridded. We're ready to go. No, Josh Robinson actually just climbed the ladder there as it updated on my timing and scoring, and we're ready to go in the 220-miler here at Michigan. Let's go with the Motor City 220. Joshua Robinson and Christopher Smith make up row number 1. Row 2, Daytona winner Will Buzzler and Kyle McCoy in that 7. Row number 3, Dylan Hoffman and Brian Chu, somebody that I know from Nazareth. Row 4, Andrew Hess in the 54, Derek Offerman in the 20, Jason top 10, Trey Jackson and Scott Rickard along with Smith battling for the points tie.
Top 20, row number 6, you got Ross Tatum in the 21, James Howard on the outside in that 29 machine that's always so beautiful. Row number 7, Jason Gratt in the 42 and Thomas Ogle in the 11, the White Claw machine like we saw moments ago. Row number 8, Diego Valle, last week's winner from the Atlanta Motor Speedway, the old configuration, by the way. And Nate Lynch to his outside in the 25 machine. Row 9, Josh Whittaker in the 28 and Joshua Altice in the 94. And rounding out your top 20, row number 10, Kyle Bowling in the 44 and Tom Wizza in the 51.
Row 11, Zach Kreitz and Christian Lawson in the 46 and 3. Row 12, Timmy McNally and Robert Sherwood. Row 13, top 26 will find Mark Fish and Ellis Thomas. Row 14, Brian Lynch and James Waldo in the back. Top 30, Brian Lynch as well as Mitch Smith in the 92.
Rest of your 38 car field, row 16, William Duff and Paul Thomas in the 40 machine. Go over to row 17, you have Matthew McMeekin in the 41 and Ben Dunn in the 14 machine. Row number 18, Mark Schrader in the 10 and Brian Burchett in the 33 machine. And rounding out the field in the last row, row number 19, inside the 66, Greg Hammond. And on the outside, that number 91, starting shotgun in the rear of the field, Zachary Smith on the outside.
There you go. Stars and Stripes Racing League round number 3 here tonight in the Motor City 220, presented by Verizon. Real quickly before we go green, sponsors of the Stars and Stripes Racing League proudly include the following: Butt Kicker, Next Level Racing. Check out the podcast On the Throttle on all podcast outlet platforms. And finally, Verizon, one of the proud partners of the Stars and Stripes Racing League and the Motor City 220, presented by Verizon. 2-mile racetrack here at Michigan, as Jason and I alluded to. Should be an exciting one as we're ready to get it started. Lights off on the pace car. It drops onto the pit lane, makes the left-hand turn. Everyone else stays straight. Moving into the Geico restart zone for the initial start. We're ready. Round 3 here at Michigan. And Jason, as they send him off into turn number 1, Robinson getting a great jump on the Daytona winner, Buzzler. Smith right there in tow in the top 3. Remember, Smith and Rickard, who's actually in 11th, all battling for that championship right now, tied coming into the start as they hit the backstretch.
Yeah, long way to go in this season here for this early winter portion here in the first month of January. So these guys really just got to be cool, calm, and collective, and especially be consistent when it comes to your championship run. You don't want to do stuff that's going to take you out, because you never know. One bad finish could very well set you back. Oh, we got a crash! Big crash! Front straightaway! Lots of cars going around towards turn 1.
Yeah, I just saw the trouble as there's a 31. Lynch and others involved. 42, I think he's the one. Great, got turned into the pack. As we just saw from the camera angle from that view in real time, where they literally were just like right there with one another, and then all of a sudden he got sideways. Jason, you saw it all come undone. It bottlenecks the field. Look at him trying to go at 4 wide here off of turn 4.
Take a look right here at the replay. So it looks like the 20 comes down the 05, and the 05 just gets doored by the 20, comes right down into that 42 machine. Great piece of driving by a lot of others getting around, but unfortunately some other drivers, you see that number 31 machine, Ryan Lynch in the USAA machine, he unfortunately becomes a victim of something that was not of his doing. But that's the thing, Wesley, like we talked about right before the drop of the green flag, it is hard to pass here So you really have to get up on the horse, get back in the saddle on every single start, from the initial start to the restarts, and try to make up as many positions as you can. And that's really a lot of the times where we see these kind of accidents start to take place. Front straightaway is a little odd, but with that being said, you still have to be really, really easy in the early going. You don't want something like that to happen this early on.
Gotta wonder, Jason Scott Rickard, how much damage do you think might be on the driver of the High Rock Vodka 05? And of course, he's the man tied with Christopher Smith coming into this race by points.
Yeah, well, let's go back real quick and try to take a look at his car, possibly, if we can get an angle on it, just see how much damage he has. I mean, that's not something that you want to obviously have this early on into the race. I mean, considering the fact that he's battling up here, you know, for this championship so far. I know we're only 2 races in, 3rd race of the season, so, I mean, it's hard to tell, but, I mean, he's just going to have to really just keep an eye on that damage. You know, don't hit the wall or anything like that. James Howard's into the pits this time by. So Scott Rickard must not have that much damage and feels confident enough to where he knows he could stay out for the time being. I'd say Scott Rickard probably is doing pretty solid right now. Just got to keep an eye on it.
Yeah, we're looking on the right front, and that's where the right front got into the, if you will, the right rear of the 42 of Grattan's car. And looks like from the camera angle by Charles showing us the front valence that it looks like he's all right. So he should be okay. Obviously, remember, they'll go on the damage clock if they do come down to the pit lane because there is no fast repair. And obviously, you know, Jason, Michigan not big like Daytona or Talladega, but let's be honest, it is a 2-mile racetrack. It is a pretty big racetrack, and it'll be over 2 minutes for you to come around under caution back to the start-finish line. So that gives you a chance to get your car fixed.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's definitely a big plus. And, you know, that's the thing when it comes down to wrecks that happen at these places like the old Auto Club Speedway, like this place, any road course really, too. And obviously Daytona and Talladega, you have so much time to try to come in and repair some of that damage. And really, if you think about it, if you're in the pits right now, maybe if you're like Howard, take as much damage repair time as you can. You see the cars coming off turn 4 now. Get off pit road, speed back up to the pack, try to come down pit road if it's still open, get a little bit more repairs done, anything that's going to be able to save that damage so you're not hindering yourself from possibly going a lap down, becoming another victim of another incident, and getting more damage. So really just want to try to make sure that you're mindful of where those cars are whenever these cautions happen, to try and make sure you get that repair time done as quickly as possible and get as much time as you can.
Lights off on the pace car. We'll get ready for a restart. We're working down lap number 5 with a comeback to the Geico restart zone of this 110 lapper. Race summary so far: 1 caution, 3 laps, no lead changes, as Josh Robinson has been the pole man in the P1 spot to stay up in front. That's presented by Virginia811.com, reminding you to dig with care. Josh Robinson, the man in the lead. Will Bustler, Daytona winner, in second. Christopher Smith is in third. Dylan Hoffman 4th. Andrew Hess top 5. Kyle McCoy, Brian Chu, Trey Jackson, Ross Tatum, and Atlanta winner last week in the Toyota, Diego Valle, is right now the top 10. All right, Jason, try this again here. Still a long way to go.
Don't wreck now, boys.
Caution in the early going. By the way, my allergies has been killing me. My voice is not what it usually is. I definitely sound like I'm raspy, so I'll do my best to hang with you guys, as right now we'll get ready to bring the field back to the restart. Robinson and Bustler front row coming to green. And look at Robinson with a great jump on the restart. Bustler outside. Here comes Smith. Smith was able to avoid what happened to Rickard. Rickard tied with Smith going into the race tonight, back in 12th, and Jackson, we're back to green.
Yeah, back to turns 1 and 2. You see everybody kind of fanning out, nearly going 4 wide. You got to be careful, though. Like you said, Wesley, that safer barrier will jump at you quicker than you think as they head down the back straight. Oh, I think we got another crash. Lots of drivers shuffling all around the leaderboard. Tom Wizza, I believe, Brian Chu, James Howard, a few other drivers, I believe that all started coming off turn number 2. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, another accident off that second turn. Man, oh man. Let's find out what happened. Jake said it was right on the restart, guys. Come on, y'all. This is not good. Not at the start.
Looks like right here, just coming off the corner, you're going to see a lot of shuffling around going on down here, down this back straightaway. And oh no, just trying to thread the needle and collects multiple drivers. Oh no.
Yeah, that's Hess. That's Andrew Hess. That's Brian Chu in the Interstate Batteries colors. It looked like the 57 might have got a piece of it, but I think he kept on rolling. Oh man. Second caution in less than 6 laps of the race.
Yeah, definitely something you don't want to have happen here this early on, especially. And I mean, and the fact too, these guys don't have a fast repair. So I mean, this is just going to really hurt your performance the remainder of the night. It's going to set you back in points if you're already going to be out, or if you're going to be severely underpowered. That's why you have to take it easy on these restarts. And I know I said earlier that these restarts were going to be key because it was going to be one of the only opportunities where you can pass besides when the tires get settled in. But obviously, if the tires do settle in and wear out, you're not going to go from 11th to 1st. It's just not going to happen like that. You're going to have to methodically work your way back up towards the front of this field. If you're outside that top 10, top 5, whatever it may be, it's not going to be an easy climb to get back to the front of this field. And that's why qualifying was so important. And you're seeing a lot of those guys who were in the back of the pack, towards the middle of this pack. That's where all the accidents have happened so far. And up at the front, they're racing really hard, but they're still all safe. They know that they can get to the front here by the end of this race, probably, if they stay there.
Yeah, another yellow flag. And again, Josh Robinson. Right now, his Chevrolet number 30 up in that top spot. Christopher Smith in second. Will Buzzler sitting in third. Dylan Hoffman, Kyle McCoy. Your top 5 is again cautions coming out in the opening 10 laps of this race. Not even 10 laps into it. More laps have been ran under caution than in green flag, Jason.
Yeah, not something that we obviously want to see, but, you know, hopefully we can get all the bugaboos out of the way early on so far. I mean, we're only 8 laps in. We have a long race to go, 220 miles, 110 laps here around this 2-mile D-shaped oval. I mean, it's going to take a while. This race is no slouch. It's going to feel like a long one for these guys. It's going to be very demanding, especially with, you know, the cautions and trying to make sure that you're trying to get track position, because, and that's another thing too that, you know, I wanted to bring up as well, track position. How many times in the past, Wesley, when it comes down to races, whether it be virtually here on the sim or in real life, where you see guys try to take a gamble here on these late race restarts, come into the pits, take 2 tires, maybe you stay out, you never know. This race very well could come down to strategy. Talked to some drivers earlier during pre-race. They said that if this race were to go green, they think strategy is definitely going to be a factor to see who wins here tonight.
Closing in on 100 laps to go whenever they get ready to come back to green. Still a long one to go. Michigan 2 miles in length, as we mentioned. Just outside of Detroit in Brooklyn, Michigan. We'll get ready to set them up for the restart here. As again right now, Josh Robinson from Ohio leading the way. The Apex Energy number 81, Christopher Smith in that second spot. Remember, he was tied with Scott Rickard. Actually, he's actually in the P1 spot. But he's tied with Rickard by the points going into the race tonight. Buzzler, Hoffman, McCoy, any of these guys have a chance to make something happen. The 2 winners of the season so far, right now also in the top 10, Buzzler and Baye. As we get ready for the pace car to drop onto the pit lane, Jason, hopefully we can get a green flag run here in the early going of the Motor City 220. Presented by Verizon, and we are back to green. And Robinson with a great hole shot on the field as they'll funnel back out into turn number 1.
Yeah, he's definitely in the best spot right now with obviously the 2 cautions we've had. The being at the front of this field is probably your best bet so far. You see them all fan back out in the 1 and 2 again, trying to go 2, 3, almost 4 wide as they hit the back straightaway this time by. And another thing that's going to be key here, Wesley, is coming off these corners, making sure you're in the right lane, because the draft is definitely going to be a factor here tonight. As you see Will Bustler, the round number 1, going to the front there in the Jordan machine. He'll take the race lead away from Josh Robinson off turn number 4 as they come back to the start-finish.
Here comes the Daytona winner, the number 1 Michael Jordan machine. Toyota for Bustler Racing Designs out of Virginia. Will Bustler to the top spot. Kind of ironic that I've been spending most of the day relaxing, Jason, and watching the Netflix documentary, The Last Dance, about Michael Jordan. He leads the charge now. Bustler into 3.
And here comes Scott Rickard. The inside almost got right into the door there of Diego Valle going into turn number 3. And off turn 4, Valle's going to tuck right back in line here behind Rickard. You see everybody funnel out back down to the inside of the racetrack, trying to stay in that draft. It's going to be key, like I just mentioned, off these corners, picking that right lane, being able to stay in that draft, because that draft will definitely carry your momentum into the corner. You might be able to get a little loose, a little tight, but the draft definitely going to be something that you have to keep in mind when you head down these straightaways here and trying to make sure you're in that right line.
Hoffman up high. Here comes the inside now. Ogle, Smith, they're all going to go after him. Here comes Altus now, down to the bottom. Understanding you had some nice pre-race conversation with Joshua Altus, our buddy out of Virginia.
Yeah, we had some fun, me and Joshua Altus there. He's not so much friendly banter, I guess you could say, in the pre-race chats, but he was one of those drivers that I talked to who said it was going to probably be really loose. Strategy was going to come into play. Definitely a driver that we're going to have to keep our eye on tonight. He's already up 8 spots from where he started. He survived the first 2 crashes, or carnage rather, that we've had so far, and he's trying to make his way up to the front there in the 94 machine as he wraps the bottom there, trying to get around Tom Ogle off turn 4.
Coming down to the line. Jackson in that 5 trying to get in line to get behind Ogle or Altus. He can't decide on the nationwide Camaro. Now, Altus, big power move down to the inside of the points leader, Smith on the top. As they work now after Robinson, the pole machine, he falls back down into the clutches of the top 10. Here comes the number 94, clear a path. Joshua Altus, wingman behind him. Ogle coming to the front.
Trying to pack some air right now on that 30's left rear, maybe get him a little loose. Thought about going down to the bottom, had to back out of it there. The 30 started to close the door as they head back down this front straightaway. Back to turn number 1, still in that draft as everybody's still trying to figure out what position they're going to try to conquer right now as they head back to 1 and 2. He'll head down to the middle of the, or rather up at the middle of the racetrack, try to get the momentum off the corner, and he will. He'll be right at the door of Robinson here as they enter turn 3 this time.
Rickard, the leader now. Remember the 0-5 with Smith. And Smith looked good in the opening 15 laps now. Rickard showing this top spot. Bustler, McCoy, Valle, Tatum, top 5. There's Altus. And he kind of went stalemate for a moment on the 94 by the time he called the top 5. He can't get around Hoffman as they work back into the corner there, Jason.
Yeah, this dirty air is definitely going to affect Joshua Altus here off these corners, especially heading in there, because he wants that clean air. That's why he was really being able to get around those cars. He had those lanes opened up to him, whether it be the bottom or the middle, was able to get around Robinson, but now he's stuck behind Hoffman here as they head around turn number 3. That dirty air is definitely going to play a factor. Something that's always been a big problem with these Xfinity Series cars is being in dirty air. If you have that clean air like Scott does, you are really setting sail. You could choose any lane. If your driver's behind the race leaders or behind anybody else, you have to play around with the way they're driving and try to figure out how to get around them if they're taking your line away.
Back straightaway, Rickard is in that top spot. McCoy in second, Tatum third. There you see Hoffman and Altus and Robinson all in the top 10. Ogle right there in the 11. All that's happening now is we finally get a pretty good green flag run under our belt. Gotta wonder, Jason, if the race director said, come on guys, 2 cautions in less than 7 laps. What are you thinking? And now they got going now. That's good.
Yeah, good to see some green flag racing right now, and really nobody's able to pull away yet. Not track rather, but the tires haven't really started to set in yet. You're not really seeing as much wear currently. Give it about another 5 to 10 laps, then you're going to start to see some guys probably start to fade away, or some drivers really starting to, turn on the jets, being really strong under that pressure with the tire wear. Like you're seeing this 28, Josh Whitaker, trying to go to the outside. He's already up now 7 positions from where he started. So maybe this car is starting to come alive here in that Amico car, or the Amico car going into turn number 1 here. He's trying to ride that outside lane now, trying to get around the 81 and get to the 30 of Robinson back to 2.
Ready to put 20 on the board whenever they come back around to the stripe here. And it's Rickard still in the top spot. There's that number 28 machine, Whitaker. Whitaker now giving plenty of room. Lynch on the outside, Smith on the bottom. As they work back off of 4 down to the triangle here. Coming to the start line. Everybody working good down into turn 1, Jason. And obviously, I would say you need to just get in line right now. 90 laps to go. You still got plenty of time left to go in this race. It's don't be aggressive and power to the front.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to be too aggressive right now. I mean, you could be a little bit aggressive, but keep in mind, like we talked about, that these guys anticipated this race to probably go green and have strategy. So you got to take care of your tires here for sure with how much you're slipping and sliding with the track temperature. And Charles, let's see real quick if we can actually get the weather conditions up. Let's see if the track temperatures changed at all since the start of this race. Remember, it was 106 degrees, so it's cooled down just a little bit. It's 101. We're getting down into the double digits almost, so we'll see if that track temperature definitely starts to dwindle down. Maybe it'll go back up. We'll just have to find out, but definitely have to be patient. It's a long race here as we're coming around turn number 2. You're seeing this 28 machine still trying to work around the 25 and trying to keep the 81 in bed.
Whitaker and Smith continue that battle. Here comes the 5 of Jackson starting to reel them in. 20 laps in. Let's give you the top 10 right now. Kyle McCoy, by the way, just got around Scott Rickard to go to the lead at the line. It's McCoy the leader, Rickard second, Tatum third, Buzzler fourth, Altus your top 5. Atlanta winner Valle is in 6th, Hoffman 7th. Ogle, Lynch, Robinson, the whole machine here is right now.
You see this 81 machine trying to go to the bottom here on this 28 of Whitaker. It looks like he's starting to fade just a little bit. He's been trying to work around, just not really able to do it here. As you see the 81 of Smith trying to go to the inside here. He'll get to his door panel, back to the front straightaway. Everybody funneling down, trying to stay in this draft as they hit the line this time by. Oh, and by the way, race leader now, Kyle McCoy. He's jumped up in front of Scott Rickard in that number 7 Celsius machine. So we'll try to see here. Scott Rickard, maybe Will Bustler can get around this number 7 machine as these tires continue to wear out here.
Arctic Vibe, Celsius, Fit Drink number 7, McCoy leading them in the corner. Back down to the line, Rickard, you're right there, Buzzler there. Ross Tatum, so many times this year, Jason, has been within the crosshairs of winning and coming up short. And right now, he sits in the top 5. As right now, they work again off of 2.
And everybody right now, Wesley, just like you said, oh, we got a car on the wall, back straightaway, turned around off turn number 2, saw one bounce off the wall. Oh, no, but they keep it going, no caution. See one car all the way at the bottom of this racetrack. That's the 22 machine right there of Robert Sherwood, like you mentioned right there, and that 2016 Dale Jr. Nationwide throwback, and boy, he has got a big problem. That right front definitely is really, really hurting as he's trying to just nurse that thing back to the pit lane.
Yeah, it's not even spinning. Spindle broken possibly on that 22 of Sherwood as he comes down onto the pit lane, literally limping at a snail's pace. You can see the wheel on the right front not even spinning. And that's going to bring Sherwood on, and that's heartbreak, Jason, because also the bad luck is 25 laps in this time by, they didn't get a caution.
Yeah, and it's definitely going to hurt him, but he's going to take that tow. Yep, back to the garage. I was going to say, that's probably race-ending damage, no doubt about it. When that right front is not turning like that at all, that is a big no-no. And again, these guys don't have a fast repair, so that's going to be race-ending right there for him. No doubt about it, and you've got to be mindful. You have to be careful. That's what we talked about earlier. Be patient. Don't put yourself in scenarios this early on into the race. We're not even halfway yet. You have to be careful, like a lot of these guys up here are at the front. But unfortunately for drivers towards the mid to back of the pack here, not so much.
McCoy the leader, Rickard, Buzzler top three crossing the line. We're 25 in now. Make it now lap number 26. Look at that 7 car. What a strong ride he's got so far, Jason, since he broke out in front, man. Nobody has been able to challenge him yet for the spot.
Yeah, I mean, Scott Rickard got there about a couple laps ago. He got right to the rear bumper, packed some air on there, but he couldn't really get him loose or tight. He kind of just stayed behind him, and that's just a factor of that dirty air. You can't really make something happen. Again, this 7 is going to have to either really mess up in one of these corners, or he's going to just have to have that car go away from him, whether it be handling or the tires or something. But everybody right now at this front of the field seems pretty content from where they're at. They don't really want to start, shuffling themselves out of line, risk some more tire wear, or obviously, like we've already seen here about 2 to 3 times now, put yourself in a position that you can get wrecked early on.
So we had those couple of gremlins to start the race in the opening 10 laps to put us under caution. But since then, we have had a long green flag run. And that's the strategy, honestly, Jason, that we'll see here at Michigan in the years past. We've seen times where it could be really caution-filled and the old cliche, cautions breed cautions. But then once they finally get back to speed and get back to green, you could see a lengthy, long green flag run. And that's what I think we're seeing right now as we're approaching 30 laps into it.
Yeah, that's kind of really just the nature of the beast here at Michigan. And then usually you're so used to seeing those late race cautions. You think back to obviously 2017, Kyle Larson swept both the Michigan races that year, and then Lee Diffie had that amazing call about his blinding restart on the 2 Toyotas, bounced off them, and then shot out to the lead. And that's the thing, you're going to have to execute on these restarts, especially if it comes down to a late race restart. That's why we talked about track position being so crucial. If you're not up in this top 5 here by the end of this race, if it's not a fuel strategy game, you definitely ain't going to have a chance when it comes down to a late race restart. So you have to be mindful, and you definitely have to make your way up to the front early on.
Working that back straightaway now into the 3rd turn. Everybody just kind of ride and drive, if you will. Rickard starting to close in on McCoy, but then as soon as he gets in the corner, the straightaway speed is faster for McCoy. That's Kyle McCoy. That number 7 machine, the driver in the Celsius. Number 7 machine, the driver out of Iowa, representing the Buckeye State. Or the Hawkeye State, my apologies. Down the back straightaway. Nobody really giving him a charge yet.
You know something though, Wesley? I really think this 05 is actually faster than this number 7. I actually think even Will Bussler might be faster than these top 2. You see Bussler's actually able to get to the inside of this 05 here. This is going to benefit McCoy as they head back down the line to complete lap 31. And the Jordan machine trying to beat out the High Rock Vodka machine back to turns 1 and 2. If he's able to clear this 05 right here, coming off turn number 2, he very well could have a great opportunity to go after the lead from Kyle McCoy. He slides up though, oh, he makes contact with the 05, gets a little sideways, but he's able to save it. He'll fall back into the clutches of Ross Tatum as they hit turn number 3. What a save by Will Bustler, and also Rickard coming off turn 2.
And somehow kept it together as they worked off the corner down to the straightaway. And now, Jason, they're going to have to try to reset again and start over to make a rally here.
Yeah, and that's the thing, too. I think, in my opinion, and it's just coming to my head now, and I'm starting to piece it together with my opinion. You think about this racetrack, especially with these cars, it's almost like the Indianapolis 500 when it comes down to the Indy cars. You think about how you really have to time your passes. You can't just pass at any point. If you have the momentum going into one, it's either you execute it or you back out. We've seen it time and time again in the 500 where we've seen drivers do that, whether it be Joseph Newgarden, Alexander Rossi, whoever it may be. You have to treat that scenario kind of like you're treating it here. You're either going to execute trying to make the pass like you saw the one did, but it was risky and he really fell back a little bit. Now he has to gather himself back up, make another charge, and it may take another 10, 20 laps or so for that one to get an opportunity to where he's back at that 05 machine trying to make a pass for second again.
Approaching 35 laps into this event. A couple of more laps is right now. McCoy still leading, but Rickard and Bustler are piling it on, and they are reeling in the 7. Just patiently right now, staying in the top spot. And Jason, here's another thing you got to think about. They've not pitted yet. So when will the pit window open, and will we see green flag pit stops?
I'd say, Wesley, just with the 2 cautions we've had already, being a little over 10 laps of caution laps almost, I want to say it is, I believe. I'd say probably around lap number 50 or so. 55, you see a pass for the lead right here. That 7 got a little tight coming off turn number 2. And Scott Rickard able to go back to lead, but here comes McCoy trying to charge hard back up on the outside. This is going to open up the door for Will Bustler big time. He's going to have a big draft weight, going to have more momentum going into this corner while these two remain side by side. Oh, and by the way, Kyle McCoy's lap times have definitely fallen off about a tenth or almost 2/10 than the second and third place drivers are, so he is definitely holding these two off right now, and a really good job.
Give him plenty of room. As right now they work that back straightaway into the 3rd turn. Man, Bustler right now just setting up to get that run on Rickard. One wrong slip of the 05, and he's going to capitalize. Oh, and don't count out Ross Tatum also, Jason. What a quiet run for the Possum tonight. The number 21 Body Armor Coca-Cola Ford out of Virginia. And he is starting to close in on lap 40. Here goes Bustler inside.
Ross Tatum was nearly as fast as the leader Kyle McCoy that last time around, and he's loving what he's seeing in the front of his windshield right now. These guys duking it out here. These 3 drivers, they head back to 3 and 4. Rickard gonna try to open up the door, but here comes Will Bustler. He'll throw it down in there on the bottom side. He's gonna try to slide right up in front of the 05. Not enough. Rickard's gonna get back to the gas earlier than Bustler and back down the front straightaway. They'll battle for the 2nd spot while McCoy tries to get away, and Ross Tatum decides the undercut. He's gonna be the first one to pit road this time.
Yeah, man, they're pitting a lot earlier than what we expected, unless, like you said, Jason, they're going for the undercut, and Ross Tatum is doing just that. Here comes also some other drivers. Oh, Tatum overshot his pit stall. Burchett is in. So was Sherwood and Howard, all these guys on pit road, but obviously Tatum up in the front, the first front runner to come in, trying to, I think, get an undercut on everyone else, Jason.
Yeah, Brian Burchett, Joshua Altice, I believe Mitch Smith all coming to the pit early. Whoa, hang on there, 28 machine. That's
Whitaker.
Josh Whittaker, or Whitaker right there. barely making it down to pit road speed in the Amoco colors, coming to pit road this time by, and that really opened up the door, I'd say, Wesley, with Ross Tatum pitting early. The 28 overshoots his box. So I would say in about the next lap or maybe 2 or 3, you're going to start to see some more of those top 5, top 10 drivers start to come into the pits.
The Amoco AC Delco colors of Whitaker off pit road. Sherwood still on for service. I think that's a tough break for the 29 Howard car as well. Rob Sherwood's out, matter of fact. James Howard out. Tough break for those guys. But right now, Whitaker back on track. Here comes everybody storming by. Remember, Jason, you got to get to that blend line, that blue cone off the entrance of turn 2 down the back stretch. You cannot enter onto the racetrack surface until you pass that cone, and then you can blend into the pack as here come the leaders on pit road.
Oh, man, and the 05, the 7, I believe, might have just almost spun out coming to the pits, and oh my goodness, those guys all saw the 7, that being the 05, the 1. They saw McCoy coming into the pits that time. They had to back it down, nearly ran into the back of them, and they're all coming to pit road this time by. And Wesley, the benefit about having that 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles on your car, 2 seconds worth of time from these guys on older tires.
Jason, do you think Rickard or anyone else that pitted behind McCoy might get busted for a speeding penalty?
It's definitely a possibility. I know Charles is going to have the updates for us with those. He'll be able to see the penalties, so we'll just have to see. They definitely look pretty hot coming into pit road, especially the 7 and the 05 machine. For goodness sakes, the 05 nearly ran into the back, and the 7 was practically sideways by the time he hit the commitment line, so we'll have to see. We're not hearing anything right now about any penalties as they continue to chug along here on lap 42. Tom Ogle holds the lead there in that White Claw machine. He's got Dylan Hoff and Josh Robinson right behind him. And look at this, old tires versus new tires. This is where you start to see accidents happen. Drivers not communicating well, trying to get around one another, trying to let others pass. That's where incidents start to happen as well.
And going 3 and 4 wide behind the leader, Ogle, is also not a good mixture either.
Definitely not.
So Tom Ogle up 13 spots now, the 11th. Remember, at one time right behind Alton. Trying to make the climb back to the front. Dylan Hoffman to the 15th is second. Josh Robinson, pole machine, back to 3rd. Kyle Bowling up 15 is 4th. Ryan Lynch up 24 spots at the top 5. Up 28, Ben Dunn in 6th. 11 spots up, John Walters in 7th. Scott Rickard back out on track in 8th. Will Bustler in 9th. The 28 of Josh Whitaker now in the top 10. Green flag pit stops starting to come to a close. 13 cars on the lead lap, Jason. That's it.
Yeah, some drivers obviously haven't pitted yet right now, and that being the top 4 of Tom Ogle, Dylan Hoffman, Josh Robinson, Kyle Bowling. And I'm really surprised that Josh Robinson's staying out like he is right now, because you think about it, he was your pole sitter, and he only fell back to about around the top 10, almost outside of it. I probably would have pitted if I were him with the rest of those guys, but he's elected to stay out, try a different strategy here. Dylan Hoffman goes to lead. Will Bustler, by the way, fastest lap time of the race last time around with a 39.331. So Will definitely trying to take advantage of those 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles right now. And you see he's in front of that number 7 machine as they head back down to the back straightaway. That's Kyle McCoy. He's a lap down, actually. I think he might have actually got busted for speeding on pit road.
There's the 14 being done. Chipotle Racing entry Ford. Let's see if anything pops up on him. You think he got held? I think he did, didn't he, Jason? The 14?
Yeah, I think so. I'm just really thinking to myself, though, I think Kyle McCoy, I believe Kyle McCoy definitely got busted speeding on pit road, though, because, I mean, right now, if you think about it, if he were to pit and he pitted with Will Bustler and all those other drivers as well, like Scott Rickard, he would have been right around them. So I do believe, I'm almost about 99% positive that the 7 of Kyle McCoy was probably speeding on pit road. That is a huge mistake. That's not something you want to have happen here as we're approaching halfway through this race. That's going to be a long climb back to the front for McCoy.
Here comes Hoffman on pit road now. The number 15 machine. So Dylan Hoffman was one of those drivers that were in the top 3 that had to pit. And now the 15 will come in. Watching his stop now. Oop, don't overshoot. Oh, well. Jason, we mentioned this. If you overshoot your pit stall like we saw Hoffman or others do, you literally lose seconds. It might not seem like a lot, but when they're coming at you at 180 miles an hour and you lose that time at a snail's pace on pit road, and then you got to go in reverse to back up to get back in line in the right pit box, you lose 3 to 4 seconds.
Yeah, you definitely lose about 3 to 4 seconds. Not something you want to do, so you want to make sure you have a clean entry into your pit box, just like the number 44 of Kyle Bowling did right there in the HendrickCars.com entry. He did a great job getting into his pit box, and that's definitely going to save him some time, probably pick up a few spots or maybe a couple. Here he comes.
Way off the pace. Yeah, here he comes. Yeah, he's ready to bring it in. There's no cycle it.
Oh, no!
Oh, that's not good.
Don't want to do that.
And as I said, Scott Rickard will come back in as the new leader of the race.
He may get busted for speeding right there.
Yeah, I was about to say, that's heartbreaking. My goodness. Rickard down back to the lead. Closing in on halfway in about another handful of laps, Jason. What you're taking the first half of the race, then we continue the long green flag run.
Yeah, so I mean, so far it's been really calm besides those first few opening laps with the 2 to 3 incidents we had. And Scott Rickard has really shown his strength along with Will Bustler. So it looks like, in my opinion, I think Scott definitely had the best execution on pit road out of those 3. And it's funny because I thought Scott was probably going to get nabbed. Turns out it was the 7 of Kyle McCoy. You see him right there behind him in the Arctic Vibe Celsius machine. He's trying to get back on the lead lap. He's in that lucky dog position right now if the caution were to come out, because he's the first car 1 lap down. Ross Tatum as well. He, I believe, got busted for speeding on pit road. He's a lap down right behind Kyle McCoy. So that's the battle right now to see who gets back on the lead lap if a caution were to come out. But so far, I mean, so clean by a lot of these drivers besides the early parts. I think Will Bustler is probably, in my opinion, right now the favorite just because of how strong he was in those stages before the green flag cycle. I think he definitely likes the handling of his race car and the setup when the tires start to kind of degrade and really wear out. So look out for Will Bustler. He's only back by about a second. He's that last car in the frame in the Jordan machine, that Toyota Supra. Look out for Will Bustler. I think he's going to have to say something to Scott Rickard here later on in this race.
So Rickard back to the lead. There you see the 7 at one time was battling with him, trying to get back to the lead lap as well. Work off the corner. It's Whitaker and that 28 machine. By the way, new top 10. Look at that scoring tickers and updates here in the Motor City 220 presented by Verizon. We're approaching halfway, round 3 in the Stars and Stripes Racing League tonight. Rickard the leader, Bustler second, Altus third, Smith is fourth, Jackson fifth, Whitaker, Lynch, Ogle, Kreitz, Vanier is right now the top 10 as it stands in the halfway approaching, and Jason, for the most part, man, even during the thrills and spills of some locking up tires or spinning entering pit road, we've been clean since that craziness in the opening of the race?
Yeah, it's been pretty clean so far, and here's a driver I'm really looking at right now is Joshua Altice, and that number 94 machine's currently sitting P3. He's up 15 spots, and he was that first guy to really come into the pits, try that undercut. He's been able to execute pretty well with that number 94 machine. He's off the pace from the leaders by about 0.3 of a second, maybe 4 now. So the tire's definitely going to come into factor here. I think his best friend is when these tires do wear out a little bit, is he's going to be able to maintain around that 3rd, 4th spot. He's got about 3 seconds up on Chris Smith right here. So that's definitely giving him a little bit of a cushion for when these tires do wear out enough. But he's going to have to be the first one to pit compared to all these guys because he's off the cycle by just a few laps or so. But definitely a driver that could probably play out with some strategy here later on in this race if it does go green to the end.
There's the Sinvar Solar, number 94, Joshua Altus from the Commonwealth of Virginia. His Chevrolet looking really good coming down to the line. Altus in that 3rd spot. You know, Jason, we know Joshua from years past on LSRTV when we used to cover his S&B Cup Series, if you remember that back in the day. Very successful, 3 seasons, I believe. Big battle going on in the top 10. Lawson under attack. Here comes the Atlanta winner. Purple Power, number 68. Diego Valle down to the inside. Valle gives him room. They try to go 3 wide, up high. 44. Bowling. Lush, and they battle door to door. Hoffman will follow with Valle, and he powers up the middle to the outside and clears by those cars chasing off too. Wow. Halfway by
Tell you what, there's going to be an incident. It's going to be right around here with the way that some of these guys are battling. You see them jockeying around for position. The 44, Kyle Bowling, did a great job getting around those guys that last time around. You see Diego Valle trying to get around that 3 of Christian Lawson there off turn number 4, but here comes the 51 Tom Wizza right up to the back bumper. Surprise, really, we haven't talked much about Diego Valle. Yes, we talked about his win last week at the old Atlanta, but so far it hasn't really reached that top 10, top 5. He's just outside of it in 13th. Maybe we'll have to see if the 68 car comes alive here later on in this race, or if he can play some strategy to get up towards the front.
Look at the 46 machine ever on the outside. Had a little glitch there for a second, Charles. Lost time in scoring. It's back up now. Baby Ruth colors, the 46 machine. Zach Bright inside. Hoffman. This is for the top 10, Jason. They're fighting for it.
Yeah, it's some great battle going on right here. You see this 15 of Dylan Hoffman getting around Zach Bright's in that 46 Baby Ruth car. Throwback to that Jeff Gordon, number 1 for Thunderbird. Back in the day there, you see him up on that outside lane trying to just get back towards the front. He was one of those guys who pitted earlier compared to most. He's off by about 0.4 compared to most of this field here, as he's going to be falling into the clutches of Christian Lawson here in just a handful of laps, maybe even this lap here as they head back to 1. But everything so far, so clean, really calm right now. Everybody kind of scattered around this racetrack because of those green flag pit stops.
On board with Christian Lawson in the 3. He's in 12th right now. Just listen to the tires kind of squealing there, Jason. Definitely don't want to make that mistake and wear your tires out too quickly after just, 20 laps ago from pitting.
Yeah, you really got to make sure that you're not sliding up out on the exit of these corners too much. You got to really kind of glide the car back very easily through the corners and stuff like that. Get back easy on the throttle. The only time that you should really be on the throttle hard, letting the car swing out a little bit. Oh, right there into the wall. Diego Valle he just scraped it barely off turn number 2. The only time you want to get back to the gas really hard and let that car swing out is on these restarts, those first 3 to 5 laps on the initial restarts. But yeah, besides that, you really just got to take care of those tires. Don't slide up around this track. And you can just see the rubber being laid down here in these corners through 1 and 2 all the way to 3 and 4. Remember, everybody's running so many different lines around this racetrack.
There they go off of 2, down that back straightaway again. There's Whitaker now leading that charge of Bolin. Lynch right there in tow. There's that awesome looking Budweiser number 25, Jason. Me and Charles were talking about it last week. I think me and you hit it on it. I love that wrap job on that car. Looks amazing.
Yeah, I just hope he doesn't have any savages chasing him like back in that 2007 Dale Jr. commercial. Remember that? Where it was a Daytona 500 spot. They were chasing him, trying to stop the Budweiser car of Dale Jr. They finally got him stopped, and he said, "Hey guys, just because I got Bud on the car doesn't mean I got Bud in the car."
That's right.
Love that number 25 machine, though. Awesome colors, black and red, my 2 favorite colors combined. Really reminds me, I said this back at Daytona, reminds me kind of Kevin Harvick's 2011 Coca-Cola 600 Budweiser machine that he was able to ultimately cause one of the greatest heartbreaks in NASCAR, I would probably say. Off turn 4 for the final time. Dale Jr. running out of gas. Same with Jeff Burton, Denny Hamlin. Kevin Harvick able to scoot away that day and collect the Coca-Cola 600 victory.
That was a very interesting, fun night for sure. By the way, speaking of NASCAR, they announced today that the All-Star, or not the All-Star race, the throwback race, will be paying homage this year to grassroots racing, NASCAR roots. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they have at the Goodyear 400 at Darlington on Mother's Day weekend.
Yeah, it's going to be so cool to see those. I saw that as well. They still have the throwback weekend, obviously, for them. And this year they're paying homage to those grassroots racing. You just talked about it, Wesley. I know you've been along the grassroots racing scene for quite some amount of years now. Hopefully, hoping my day will come soon. Yeah, he's getting old. He's getting old, Charles. Yeah, 50. Yeah. Okay, buddy. Yeah, but
Come
you know,
on,
it's gonna be cool.
I got a decade before I hit 50. Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what are you talking about, Charles? See, this is the thing. Charles, for folks watching, Charles has had way too much Laffy Taffy today. He told us he made about 2 pounds worth. According to him, that's definitely not possible for sure. He'd probably be getting really sick right now. But at the same time, I do believe it because this man used to run off so many Red Bulls to create these broadcasts. It would not shock me if he has now resorted to Laffy Taffy to being able to produce these great broadcasts for us.
Man, Red Bull and coffee when we did those 6-hour races back in the day. By the way, speaking of that, you might be seeing the return of some endurance races coming soon to your home for sim racing.
Charles just sent me a great picture of his Laffy Taffy in a giant jar. And it only looks like there's about a few pieces left. And I tell you what, Charles, you should definitely save that banana one for me. I would love to have that. You might be able to send it up here to New Jersey. Yeah, okay.
What is wrong with you? Who's that? Oh well, approaching lap number 70. And let's take a look real quickly, race summary, as we are past halfway, about 15 laps or so. There it is. 9 lead changes in the 67 laps of the race. 2 cautions. They happened in the opening 10 laps. There you see it right there. So we've been on about a 62 green flag lap run. That's brought to you by Virginia 811, reminding you to call before you dig. Jason, you get any of that warm weather up in New Jersey like we are in Carolina? 77 today.
It was a little bit warmer than you know I thought it was going to be. It was about 55 today, but besides that, we're about 45s right now. A little bit of light rain and definitely some cloud cover. Also some fog, and some rain definitely coming soon. Charles, what's going on down in Texas, man? I told you last time we need the forecast back for your area for the studio. What is it looking like down there? 70s. I'd kill for 70s.
Weather with Charles, presented by Laffy Taffy.
Oh, God. That jar will be gone by the end of this broadcast.
Every time he says the name, I think of the song. Here we go. Second round of pit stops underway. Buzzler going for the undercut. He's on pit road. Altis is on pit road as well. And could this be the money stop of the race, Jason?
Yeah, I'd probably say so, considering we're on lap 70 now. And I mean, I think for a fact that Josh's strategy is definitely obviously the undercut. We talked about how he was going to have to pit earlier than most people. His strategy is going to be to get to the front, probably save just enough tire, just enough fuel to be able to get to the line. We talked about it in pre-race, me and him. He said that this race could probably come down to strategy. So far, it's looking like it's going to, so this strategy very well could pull off for the number 94 Camaro here tonight.
Green flag pit stops underway, second time, lap number 70. Tonight it is the Motor City 220, presented by Verizon on LSRTV. The next round, round 3 for the Stars and Stripes Racing League. I'm Wesley Outland. Jason Rockefeller is alongside Charles Wooten, Laffy Taffy Man in the box, handling production. And Jason, I want to say this probably for the first time tonight on the sim, we are seeing some cloud cover coming over Michigan. What is that going to do to the cars here?
Yeah, you see a little bit of cloud cover going around the front straightaway. There's some down in 1 and 2. It's going to cool off this track probably just a little bit. Let's take another look here at the weather conditions since, you know, Charles doesn't have the weather in Texas. But there you go, 97 degrees right now. This track temp has dropped about almost 10 degrees from when it was in practice, or actually more than 10 degrees, almost 20 degrees rather than what it was in practice. So interesting to see us finally get back down to the double digits. Going to cool this track down a lot, being able to make these guys move around a lot more. Tire wear is not going to be as crucial, but still going to be there considering the fact that we're just at 100 degrees track temperature. And I'm sure, Wesley, when this sunlight does come back out from behind these virtual clouds, this track definitely will heat back up again for sure.
There's that big amount of cloud cover we just mentioned. Man, it looks like nightfall started to settle in here. It's Christ and Lynch battle. Approaching lap 75 in the race here. A lot of drivers, so we saw Buzzler and Altis hit, going for the undercut, waiting to see if anyone else is going to come in. Scott Rickard in the points, man, leading Christopher Smith, who was the man that was coming into the race, tied with him. Then fifth, and by the way, Buzzler, fastest lap of the race of the number 1, 39.320 seconds in the 23rd spot, Jason.
Yeah, I think Will's definitely just trying to really keep on going here, trying to make sure that he can make it back all the way. He saw Joshua Altis's strategy. He said, you know what? I'm going to try something different too, and he wants to try to pit. He wants to try to beat out Scott Rickard. I think that Will Bussler definitely can. He's already ahead of Joshua Altis, so Josh is going to need a caution late in this going if he wants an opportunity to get to Will Bussler. That's if this green flag pit cycle goes all the way through. We very well could see guys try to stretch it all the way. We just don't know from when they pitted, but we'll have to find out here. Brian Burchett and Zachary Smith, they're in the pits right now. They have given up their positions, but I just don't know if it's going to happen. We'll have to see here as we're winding down this race here as we're in almost the last quarter of it.
Man, understanding Grattan just put down a fast lap, 39.289. He's in 30th. Jason Grattan, remember, he was a car that, Jason, if you remember, had problems at the start of the race, remember? Got in the little tangle there with Rickard on the front straightaway.
And now he's just riding back there in that number 42 machine, currently sitting back in that 30th position, but, you know, definitely not going to be a factor here tonight for sure. But good job to post the fastest lap. Definitely something that, you know, as a driver in the sim, you know, you have that fast lap of the race. You say, man, if only I had that pace. If only I had this. If something didn't happen, you never know. You could very well be seeing Jason Grattan up at the front of this field right now. It's unfortunately the way that racing goes. There's always up and downs. It's comers and goers. There's always next week and weeks after for Jason Grattan to try to get it done. Oh, he's in the wall.
In the wall there as more cars come down to the pit lane. Brian Lynch with the Hooters girls on the side of the Hooters machine, literally. There goes Lynch family on pit road together at the same time. All right. Bowling up the second now as the Ogle comes down pit road in the 11. So strategy-wise, we're seeing now the second leg of green flag pit stop happen. And drivers trying to go for the finish of this one here. A couple of cautions, as we mentioned in the opening 10 laps. And since then, it has been green. And obviously, Jason, you know, they're all spread out. I mean, they're all, look at the scoring pylon. You can literally see 30 seconds separate the top, 38 seconds. Here comes now the 46 on pit road. Kreitz is on pit road. He pits again. McNally's on pit road. Smith on pit road. Money stops continue.
Yeah, this is definitely the money stop for sure here. Last set of green flag pit stops for the night. Obviously, the one that we're really looking at the most is Will Bustler. He decided to take advantage of that undercut just like Joshua Altice did, but Will was able to get out ahead of him since he was higher up in the running. So Will's definitely going to be the guy in the catbird seat here when this cycle goes all the way through. The question is, will Scott Rickard choose to come soon, or will he elect to come down when his time is to come down into the pits? Lots of drivers coming in. Zach Kreitz, James Waldo, Paul Thomas as well. Lots of guys coming in. We're just going to have to see how this cycles out. And Wesley, it's kind of like a waiting game and like a game of chess. You wait for guys to make their moves, then you just got to see how it plays out. And that's really what we're doing up here in the booth. Matthew McMeekin, he's in there in the 41 Navy machine coming into his box. It's just going to have to find out and see what happens.
Now you're exactly right. We continue to watch the cycle of green flag. Continue on. Look out. Rickard's in. Rickard had to lock him up there for a second, Jason. He might have got lucky the first time. Boy, at lap 80, he was testing the times entering pit road again.
Yeah, that's going to be tight. I think he's going to be good, though, coming in, but that definitely could have hurt him coming into the pits, obviously, but he was able to execute, come into his box, take 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles here. Now the question's going to be, when Rickard comes out, where is Will Bustler going to be? He's going to have the fresher tires, but he's going to have to run down Bustler if he gets around him here, and he did. Rickard now behind Will Bustler. Will this strategy pay off for Will? He's off turn number 2 now. I would probably like to, make an early bet and say I think it's going to pay off, because now he's about half a track length ahead of Will Bustler. The question's going to be now, does Will have enough to make it to the end, and will his tires hold up?
Should be interesting. That's now Kyle Bowling back to the lead again. There's Bustler. Remember the strategic move of hitting early along with Altus. Will Bustler's up to 3rd. Altus is in 6th and 7th. Trent Jackson on pit road. Ben Dunn on pit road. Bowling. Now the new man as Valle. Oh man, Valle on pit road. He spun the tire, entering, locks him up. Looks like he's okay. No harm, no foul. Winner last week in Atlanta. Diego Valle's on pit road, Jason. And we continue to watch Buzzler climb the scoring pylon.
He's only got one more spot to go, and it's going to be Kyle Bowling. Diego obviously on pit road. Last time Kyle pitted was lap 47, so he's probably going to be pitting here, I'd say, within the next 7 to 10 laps or so, and we'll have to see where he cycles around. The big question, like you talked about, will Scott Rickard be able to catch Will Bustler, and Will Bustler's tires and fuel hold up enough to try to get him to the finish here as we're winding down here, approaching lap 85.
And will Bustler be able to be the man to win? Second win of the year. We'll find out. That number 1 machine, the driver out of Virginia, the Michael Jordan colors for the Buzzler Racing Designs. And there's the Hendrick cars. Chevrolet number 44. Kyle Bowling leading the way in the Pepsi Chevrolet from Nebraska. Trying to shock everybody if he can get it done right now. Just kind of riding, holding his line. Lap 85 of 110. We're closing in on the finish of this one here. 25 to go at the line, Jason.
And 25 laps to go. Looking at the scoring pylon, Kyle Bowling electing to come to pit road. This time by, he's got about a 16-second gap between him and Will Bustler. And last time around, Will a second slower than what Scott Rickards was. We're going to have to see what the gap's going to look like here in just a second. As you see the 44 electing to come down, take those 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles for the final time. We'll see how well it pays off for him and what he could salvage out of this race for him. And now the top 2, back to it. Will Bustler, Scott Rickard, Joshua Altice, and Scott Rickard back by 8.5 seconds, and
wow.
He is closing, but he's going to have to be patient. He's fast. He knows he's faster, but man, don't burn up those dang tires trying to catch him. Let him come to you. Reel him in slowly. You have enough time. You're going to have 20 laps to try to catch him. His tires are going to fall off. So are yours. So save as much as you can, all while trying to run him down. You're going to have to be careful. I think Scott might be able to get there, but it's just going to be a waiting game. We're going to have to see.
Yep, trying so hard to put himself in that perfect opportunity to take advantage if he can. Another lap of the board, closing in on lap number 90 and 20 to go. Man, we've been caution-free since the accident that happened on lap number, I believe it was 6. And since then, we have gone flag to flag, and we've not been able to take any commercials. We'll thank all of our partners and everybody we have keeping the green flag to the finish. That's right now. There you see Bustler. And there's Rickard. He's in second. He's on the ascent to get around Tatum, Jason. Run down to 1 if he can. The interval, though, is almost 6 seconds back. Can the 0.5 catch the 1?
I think he can, Wesley. I really, really do. And he's gaining a second a lap. Lap time around, Will Bustler a second slower than Scott Rickard. And last time around, the guy who was the last to pit, Kyle Bowling, back in 12th, slicing and dicing up his way almost into the top 10 fastest lap of the race. The only one to crack down into the ones. 39.186 for Mr. Bowling there as he heads down to the inside trying to get around the 5 of Trey Jackson on 4.
And what a lap there. We'll watch him again. Look at this now, lap number. Buzzler in front. Rickard, Ogle, Altus, Whitaker, top 5. That's the way they are. As there goes McCoy, what might have been for the 7 at one time up in the front, led the race chase. Now, lap down.
Yeah, Yeah, just a huge heartbreaker for Kyle McCoy. He's the first one lap down. I mean, it's just going to take a caution to try to get back into it and try to see what he could salvage out of this day. But, I mean, it just really his own mistake coming to pit road, just making a speeding penalty, taking him out of this race pretty early on. And during those first cycle of green flag stops, was pretty dominant towards the beginning part of this race in the first third. Now finds himself one lap down there, back in the 24th position. So definitely, like you just said, Wesley, a night of what could have been for Kyle McCoy, somebody who's strong the first 2 races of the season, getting one top 5, one top 10. See if we can get it done next week at Dover.
20 to go. 20 to go here at Michigan. And what a great race it's been so far. Everybody has just minded their P's and Q's. And after the calamity and the first caution on the start, and then on lap 6, since then, flag to flag, and nobody has, for the most part, Jason, showed any signs of being the stronger car, because we've seen so many opportunities where multiple drivers had showed their strengths. But when it counts the most, Will Bussler, the Toyota #1, on the quest for his 2nd win of the year. He won Daytona. And right now he's trying to hold off Rickard as he's on the backstretch.
Rickard's starting to fall off just a little bit, but he's still faster than Will Bussler. I mean, he's cracked down now under 4 seconds. He's just going to have to be patient. Coming to 18 laps to go. He still can get there. It's just going to be about, will he be able to have enough in the tank? Will he be able to have enough in the tires, obviously, to get around, that being Will Bussler, to see if he can hold off Scott Rickard. I mean, what a night it's been for him. And what a night it's been, too, for Tom Ogle in the #11 machine, a driver who was started outside the top 10, finds himself in 3rd in the #11 White Claw machine, had some trouble back at Daytona. He has only 1 top 10 this season. He's completed all but 1 lap so far, and tonight he's looking to try to finish up on the podium and get to talk to us. He's trying to hold off Josh Bautista there in the 94, back in that 3rd and 4th spot. That gap, though, back at the front, Wesley, starting to dwindle a little bit downwards more. Not as fast as it was earlier, but it's almost getting down to below 3 seconds. We could very well have a battle for the lead here in these last 17 laps coming up.
We'll see what happens. Got to definitely pace himself, and he's got to find a way to get into the right place at the right time when it counts. And that's the key. 17 to go here in Michigan. Whitaker up high. There's Hoffman on the clear. That's the battle for 6th. And Jason, if there's any inclination also, I believe if he can run down Bussler and get the win, perfect. But if not, Scott Rickard might be able to surpass Christopher Smith, also to be the new points leader at the end of the night here in Michigan, too.
Yeah, for sure. No doubt about it. And I mean, Chris Smith, he's not back, inside the top 5 like he was earlier on in this race. There he is in the 81 Chevrolet. He's currently back in that 8th spot, 6 spots back from where he started. So it's been a quiet night, really, for this 81 machine. Haven't really talked about him a lot besides that point lead for the first 2 races. Now, definitely, probably, if this race would have finished the way it is, I'd say Scott Rickard definitely going to obtain that points lead over Chris Smith. We'll just have to find out how this race goes down. We've seen time and time again in this past here at Michigan International Speedway where we've seen late race cautions. There very well could be one. 15 laps to go. Gap's now almost 2.5 seconds from Rickard up to Will Bussler. And you can just see that 05 machine is digging in the corners, trying to get everything he can out of the race car, but the tires are starting to equalize. Only 0.2 faster than Will Bussler last time around. This strategy could pay off for Will Bussler.
15 to go. Bussler now 2.5 seconds ahead of Scott Rickard as Rickard crosses the line at 14 remaining. Can he get there? By the way, 7 seconds back between the leader and Ogle in 3rd. 12 seconds back for Bowling to the leader. Right now, the 16 seconds separating the top 10. With Tom Wizza there to the leader. And Rickard, the only hope to trying to get in there and go for a win. It'll be his first win if he gets it done for the season, if he can run down Buzzler. Buzzler looking for his second win this year if he picks it up. Winner back at Daytona, Jason. And right now, time is running out. Now, obviously, we get a caution. That changes everything, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. No doubt about it. And that's the last thing Will Bussler wants to see. And Scott Rickard probably doesn't want a caution until I'd say about 5 laps to go. And he's going to have 12 remaining this time by. He's got to make quick work here of this 42 machine. Got to get around him. He's definitely hindering his progress right now. Best thing for him, stay in line. Draft behind this 42 down the straightaway. Get the 42 out of the way. Tell him over the radio, come on, man, I'm trying to battle. There he goes, going to go up to the outside, but the 42 not giving in. Still going to take his line away. Very surprised by the 42 right in the path of this 05. Definitely hindering his progress for sure. As you look back, this is the battle going on for the 5th spot. Dylan Hoffman able to move into the position where he qualified, gets around Joshua Altice off turn number 2, and he'll set his sails now to try to catch Kyle Bowling in that 44 machine. Remember, was the last guy to pit out of that last green flag cycle, and so far it's looking pretty good for Kyle Bowling, up 15 spots from where he started. He might be able to pick up the 3rd spot on Tom Ogle here.
Hoffman and Altus battle, that's for 5th. Getting ready to put lap number 100 up on the board when they come back around. Down the back straightaway, there's the leader, the man out of Virginia, the Toyota Supra, number 1, Jordan Colors. The Buzzler Racing Designs, number 1, looking to come to the line. Lap 100, 10 to go here at Michigan. Car 1 and P1, Jason.
Yeah, he's just got to keep on doing what he's doing right now. Doing a great job trying to hold this 05 at bay, trying to run his own line and whatnot. I mean, the gap's only down by a little less than 2 seconds here, coming to 9 laps to go, this time down the back straightaway. And if you're Will Bussler, you're just hoping, man, no caution, please, no caution, no caution. And you're just hoping that Scott Rickard continues to fall off like he's been doing here these last few laps.
Just continuing what he needs to do momentum-wise to stay in front. Now, single digits. There's the interval, though. Can you say it's closing? Can you say, here, kitty, kitty? Rickard on a mission to get the 1. Can he run him down? 9 to go.
Oh, man. He's just really sideways, though, Wesley, coming off turn number 2. And, I mean, that last time around, he was only faster than him by a little less than a tenth. So these tires have definitely equalized for sure, no doubt about it. I think Rickard definitely might need a caution here because that gap is pretty much stabilized down to a second, 3/4 here almost. If you're Scott Rickard, you're definitely hoping for a caution. I just don't know if he's going to be able to get there now.
Yellow flag would change everything, but right now, everybody just kind of waiting in line, hoping that a caution will fall. Will it come out, though? That's the question. 8 laps to go. There's Rickard. Can he run down Buzzler?
You know something, Wesley? I'm noticing something right in front of that number 1 car. If we take a look at him real quick, there's a little bit of lap traffic I'm noticing. And that's going to hinder his progress too. Dirty air, and also doesn't want to get there and battle with those guys. And that's about 4, almost 5 cars under a blanket. That's going to hurt the 1 car. He is now in this dirty air. He cannot run this line that he's been used to these last 20 to 30 laps. He's going to have to really keep it steady and hope that Scott Rickard doesn't close on him due to somebody hindering Will Bussler's progress.
7, make it 6 laps to go. When there you see the tail end of the leader's car, the number 1. Jason, here's one thing I can say. Lap traffic is up in front of the leader. That could be an advantage for Scott Rickard if he knows how to methodically get to 1, if he can get to him.
Yeah, just like I mentioned, I mean, it's going to be hard for this number 1 to get around this lap traffic, and he's closing in on him very quickly. And you see these guys getting loose in front of him. Will is not liking this because guess what? Scott Rickard nearly closed that gap down by about 2 to almost 3 tenths more than what it was a couple laps ago. Here comes Will. He's going to work down to the bottom of this number 91 machine. Back down the inside. Not enough to get around in there. That's going to hurt him off this corner here. Scott may be able to get a run off turn number 4. We'll have to see. Back down the front straightaway. Will this 91 give in, or will he try to battle in case this caution comes out right here? You see Will trying to look back down to the inside off 2.
And I want to explain something as well, Jason. Zachary Smith, that number 91, he's on the tail end of the lead lap. He's not a lap down. So is he going to fight to stay on the lead lap? You're dang right he is. He's going to do everything he can to stay in front of the 1. And in doing so, that's going to close the interval possible. With 5 to go, 4 to go at the line now. Less than 8 miles remaining here in the Motor City 220 presented by Verizon. Can Rickard run down the 1? He's going to try to reel him in again into 1.
Yeah, this gap's closing in just a little bit more now. It's under almost a 1.25 back to turn number 1 and 2. Off the corner, the 1 has to slide up. He's not getting around this 91 just yet. If you're the 91, you have to battle. If the caution comes out, you could be presented to trying to pick up more points and get positions on a restart. Coming to 3 to go this time by. Scott is closing in. He might be able to get there as this 91 continuously is in the way of this number 1. And Bustler's going to have the draft down this front straightaway, but he's still going to have the dirty air here. 3 laps to go as they head back to 1, and Bustler's going to work to the inside. Now we'll be able to get around the 91. This could be a huge moment for Will Bustler's race coming off turn 2.
Still the interval at a second. It's now finally Smith lets Bustler get by. Let me check that actually. Bustler had to fight to get around Smith, and he finally cleared him. Now he'll set his sights on a couple of more cars. The good news is time is running out. As they come to the line, this is the penultimate lap of the race. 4 miles remain. 2 to go, Jason Bustler. And the interval is still over a second between first and second now. Back to 1.
Yeah, and what a job by Will Bustler to be able to come in and take that early pit stop. Saw what Josh Valtis did, said, let me try something differently. And it looks like if he can just get around for another 2.5 miles, he's going to be a race winner yet again and get 2 for 3 on the year this time by, coming off turns 3 and 4 to take the white flag. I don't think Scott Rickard's going to get there, and if he does, it's going to have to be because of a big mistake by Will Bustler or lap traffic ahead of him. White flags in the air. The CRN 1 to go is in the air. Will Bustler trying to get his 2nd win of the season back to 2.
Final time around. All details at WeAreCRN.com for a big season, including iRacing broadcast. As there goes Will Bustler. Toyota Supra number 1. Michael Jordan, the GOAT of basketball, on the hood of the car. The man out of Virginia. The Daytona winner. And 2 weeks later, week 3, takes round 3 of the Stars and Stripes Racing League. His 2nd win of the year in the Motor City 220. Presented by Verizon in Michigan. Will Bustler holding off Scott Rickard, who closed it by about 3/4 of a second. Just ran out of time. Tom Ogle would have run for him to go to 3rd. Man, what a race.
Really interesting, and really it was just about a chess match between these two right here to see who was going to be able to withstand each other, who was going to be faster, save enough stuff. And Will, I tell you what, man, not only did that strategy pay off, but him saving his tires just enough definitely helped him for sure, because had he have fallen off a little bit earlier than what he did, I think that 05 probably would have got there. And the gap to finish, only 8.5 tenths of a second compared to that 26 or 16 it was just a handful of laps to go.
So Will Buzzler gets the big win here tonight. By the way, 103 laps caution-free. Let's take a look real quickly at the results as he burns it down. Buzzler at the line. And there it is, Jason. Will Buzzler gets the win. Scott Rickard will settle for second. I still believe he'll be the points leader whenever they retally everything tonight. They were tied, him and Smith coming into the race. Thomas Ogle third. What a good run for him. Kyle Bolin will strategy and finish in fourth. Dylan Hoffman fifth. Smith, Whitaker, Altus, Jackson, Kreitz all in the top 10, all on the lead lap at the end here at the Mighty Michigan.
And you got your top 20. You got Christian Lawson coming there in 11th. You have Wizza, Lynch, McNally, Dunn, James Waldo, Ryan Lynch spinning out on pit road earlier on. Matthew McMeekin, Brian Lynch, Diego Valle, driver we probably anticipated was going to be up towards the front. Didn't really happen for him tonight. He's going to have to redeem himself next week at Dover. He'll round out the top 20.
21st will be Mark Fish, Greg Hammond. Zachary Smith, 23rd. Kyle McCoy, who led some laps in the race, falls back a lap down along with Ross Tatum in the top 25. Mitch Smith, Paul Thomas, Brian Burchett, followed by Mark Schrader and Jason Gratton right now, your top 30. Multiple laps down.
Yeah, rest of this 38-car lineup. You have Josh Robinson, you have Duff, Chu, Sherwood, Thomas, Howard, Andrew Hess, Derek Offerman. Most of these guys wrecked earlier on in this race at the beginning portion, just were not able to get back on racetrack, and that's your full 38-car rundown here tonight at Michigan.
Final look at the race summary. There it is, 104 laps, green flag to the finish after 6 laps under caution. And again, when it's all said and done, a green flag run to the sprint, with the only 2 yellow flags back in the top 10 laps of the race, and then 11 lead changes when it's all said and done. Will Buzzler gets the winner. Hey, listen, Jason, Charles, you want to take a break? We played no sponsors. So you want to take a break? We have no sponsor. Okay, no sponsors. Well, we're going to take a moment to grab the podium. Buzzler, Rickard, Ogle. And we also want to thank again Bud Kicker for the Stars and Stripes Racing League Next Level Racing. Thank you to the On the Throttle podcast on all major outlets and platforms, and Verizon here at the Motor City 220 presented by Verizon. So we'll take a brief intermission for music, and then we'll grab the podium here at Michigan in just a moment. Will Buzzler, second win of the year here in the Motor City. Welcome back to the Music City, Michigan International Speedway and the Motor City 220. Presented by Verizon, coverage of round 3 of the Stars and Stripes Racing League on LSRTV, your home for sim racing. We'll grab the podium here. And of course, third place going to Tom Ogle. Tom, what a great run for you, man, of that White Claw entry number 11, and just being in the right place, right time, staying out of trouble for Ogle Auto Sales, and what a good run. I want to say it's your first podium of the year, third place.
Yeah, I've had some rough runs. I had terrible luck at Daytona, and then last week I just didn't ever get any track position. Yeah, it was a good run. The front two, it was like we were running a different race. They killed it. I lost my drafting help pitting that on my first pit there. Josh got crashed, so I was kind of alone, but then Kyle was catching me pretty good there at the end. But yeah, I'm real happy with this. I'm not very good at the 1.5s, 2 mile tracks, so I'm real happy.
Well, congratulations, Tom, on coming home P3 tonight, man. You say you're not really that good at these 1.5 miles, 2 miles, and I know Dover, it's a mile going in there next week, and it's not really the same beast like you would see on a 1.5 miles, but it kind of almost acts like a 1.5 miles. But with that being said, man, how do you feel like your chances are to try to get another podium going into next week to the Monster Mile?
I think I won last time we were there. I like Dover. That's one of my favorite tracks. Anything concrete, I think I seem to run good at. Dover's a really good track for me. If you can get on pit road without tearing anything up and stay up front, you have a pretty good shot at it there.
Tom, segue this into thanking your sponsors, but man, what can you do momentum-wise with this podium finish to help you out for the rest of the year?
Boy, I just got to get back up in the points and get some finishes and 0X's, you know, get some. I dug myself such a hole at Daytona. I'm going to be digging out of it for a while. Hopefully I can get a race win and maybe put me in the chase, but point-wise, I got some work to do. These top guys, this is a tough league to win in. It's a tough league, top 5. Any week, about 10 guys can win, so it's tough to climb back out of a hole you dug yourself.
Sponsors.
Of course, everybody grab yourself a White Claw, delicious seltzer, and Ogle's Auto Sales, my business.
There you go. And, of course, the man of the number 11 from the Buckeye State of Ohio gets himself a podium finish in 3rd. Let's go to Scott Rickard and the High Rock Vodka Tire Pros Toyota, or Chevrolet actually, from New York. You'll settle for 2nd, man. Just ran out of time. If this would have been 125 laps, 115 laps, you think you would have caught the one, especially when it got mired in my lap traffic. But another good solid points day for you, though.
Yeah, I'm just happy getting top 5 early, and especially early in the season. It helps with the points. Even if you don't get a win, still good for points. So we're working out in a good way, at least.
And Scott, congratulations, man, on coming home P2. I know you wanted that first position there tonight, man. And did you think to yourself when you saw Will pit early? Because once Joshua Ortiz came into the pits, and then Will, I think, just decided, hey, I'm going to come down to the pit and try an undercut, man. Were you contemplating thinking about pitting earlier than what you ended up doing? And do you think that could have really helped you try to get that win tonight?
Yeah, I committed. After the first pits, I'm just going to 80, hoping it all work out with going long. Every time I never, especially after doing the first run where it's a lot better than going short for against most of the people. I just here play it safe, going long was just going to work. And I was kind of content with 2nd if I didn't get back to him anyway, just for the points.
Yeah, I was about to say a good point stay, Scott Rickard. Again, when it's all said and done, man, obviously, what's your take of the first 3 weeks of the season being consistent? And thank your sponsors on the next week.
This is what I'm good at. I'm good at being consistent, just not winning a lot. So it's just doing what I expected. At least I'm not running horribly, expecting to run at least decently. And take the High Rock Vodka and Tire Pros and put a dog in a room. First thing.
There you go. And, of course, on to Motor Mile next Thursday night. There you go. There's the thoughts of Scott Rickard. And I believe he had enough on Christopher Smith to be the points leader whenever we leave here tonight at Michigan. Let's go to Victory Lane. 2nd win this year. Toyota Supra, number 1, Michael Jordan. I was talking about watching the Last Dance on Netflix all day, and that's about the documentary of the 2-3-peat Chicago Bulls and Michael Jordan and his success. And what do you know, man? You come out there with the 1, and what a dominating performance. But I will say this, though. There was a lot of other good competitors in the first stages of the race, but you methodically got there at the end. Was it the late race pit stop that put you in contention to win this race, Will? And congrats on your 2nd win of the year.
I appreciate it, guys. Yeah, I mean, it was right before the pit stop when I caught Scott, and I think Kyle was up there with him. When I caught them from about a second back, I knew that I had the long run speed, so had a little help from Rob Sherwood. He kind of gave me his thoughts on it, went with it, worked out to in an awesome way. But I just figured I had the long run speed. The car was fast. I just kind of saved just enough there throughout the runs to really help, and that kind of solidified my choice to go in, undercut it, and come out on top.
And Will, congratulations tonight, man, on picking up your second victory of the season. Already 3 races in. You're the only man to get 2 now. Obviously early on, man, but how do you see yourself and your season being projected for the future here, the remainder?
Oh yeah, after Daytona, I knew that these cars were, it's just up my wheelhouse for my driving style. Daytona, kind of luck, kind of, backed into that one a little bit. But Atlanta last week, I thought I was a top 5 car, and, unfortunate circumstances got taken 3 wide and, ended my night. And tonight, I love Michigan. Michigan's an awesome track to race at. I've always had success here. I knew coming in that if I stayed out of trouble early on, I could be there at the end, pull out a top 3, maybe hope. And I didn't think this was going to happen, but happy for it. Thanks to the guys on the team. They really kind of gave me their input, and went with it, made my choice, and there we are.
Was there any frustration, and segue this into thanking your sponsors as well, Will, in dealing with the late lap traffic that was up in your front at the end of the race, especially with Rickard pressuring on you in the back?
Yeah, it was definitely a worry. Rob really kind of let me know where he was on track. He told me that he was kind of pushing way too hard. He wasn't going to be able to catch with the gap that I had. It did worry me there for a little bit, but I think the draft helped me out, just kind of keep the distance that I needed between me and Scott to pull this one out. But yeah, it was awesome racing. I just didn't want there to be a caution. That's definitely the last thing I wanted. So, yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks, guys. As far as sponsors, got to thank my wife first and foremost. She's a rock star. She puts up with my iRacing drama I have all week for her. Got to thank my teammates, Ross, Rob, Josh. They were awesome tonight. Got a shout out to a couple watchers, Tom and Trevor. Thanks, guys, for watching. We appreciate it. Thanks for everybody for watching at home. Verizon on the Throttle Podcast, Butt Kicker, Next Level Racing, LSRTV. You guys are awesome. Thank you.
Second win this year for the driver of the #1 machine from the Commonwealth, and that is Will Buzzler getting it done. Next week, we're on to Dover Motor Speedway and the Munster Mile 200. And Jason, your final thoughts on Michigan here tonight, and obviously moving into Dover. We know that that's a track that, man, don't underestimate the concrete. No doubt.
Yeah, definitely. Tonight's race, though, definitely with strategy was the name of the game. We talked to some of these guys we just talked to earlier in pre-race, both me and Charles, and, they said, hey, strategy might come to a factor. It was. Will chose the undercut, and he chose right, man. That was a good strategy, good call on his end with him and his buddies there. And as for Dover next week, man, one of my favorite tracks, my home track. I love that place. I know a lot of people hate it, but they don't call it the Monster Mile for no reason at all, man, because he will chew you up and spit you right back out. That's going to be a fun one next week from the mile on the concrete.
We were hoping that the points had updated before we went off the air. Unfortunately, they have not. As always, follow the Stars and Stripes Racing League on their social media platforms to know where they are in the points. We'll see if the battle between Rickard and Smith will put Rickard back up in front. Buzzler should climb as well with a win. All of that good stuff going on. Of course, next week we're off and on to Dover, and then, of course, going road course racing at Sonoma, Bristol, and Kansas, the next 4 for the month of February as we wrap up, believe it or not, January. Well, that's going to do it for our coverage here tonight. Be good to one another. For everybody at Rocket Racing Media, Jeff Stabnow, Charles Wooten, all of our great crew, Stars and Stripes Racing League on social media. Replays are available as soon as we go off live, and we'll be back next week for round number 4. For Jason Rockefeller, I'm sorry that I've been a little bit under the weather with voice box. Raspy Wesley Outland here with you. Enjoy the rest of your night, the rest of your weekend, and congrats again to Will Buzzler, second win of the year tonight at Michigan.